Hi, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Veganish with Dr. Monique. I am your host, Dr. Monique. I am your board certified family physician who you know as a physician in the kitchen. And on this show, we talk about all things healthy eating. I share with you my challenges and successes going toward a more plant-based diet and bring you along in the process, all while keeping it light and fun. And so I've got my trusty co-host, Mr. Ellis. How are you today?
I am doing great. I
It's
am doing
great.
great. I need this. This is kind of how fortified. This is a show that fortifies me each week when I start to slip back into old bad habits. I'm like, oh no, no, no.
I think the churchgoers call that backsliding. Is that what you? I think that's what they call
but
it.
but
So
church
let's
also has grace, and so I'm giving myself some grace when I backslide. Okay.
There you go. There you go. I mean, it's May. It's one of my favorite months. May used to be my favorite month because not just my last name, but believe it or not, I'm actually born in May. I mentioned last week my birthday is this month. But before I had my son, it was my favorite month. Now, of course, the month he was born is my favorite month. But this weekend coming up, we've got Mother's Day. So, I hope all you out there who are mothers or celebrate Mother's Day have a wonderful day. Those mothers who are watching us from above, we definitely keep them in our thoughts and prayers as well. And today is Cinco de Mayo, right? So
Yeah.
we're having a little cerveza, some tequila, whatever you want to do to celebrate. Some good salsa, pico de gallo. And I thought about that. I was like, darn it, I should be out celebrating Cinco de Mayo.
You still got
But
time.
I do. I do still have time. So we've got folks already coming in and joining us. And then yesterday for the Star Wars folks, it was May 4th or May the 4th be with you, right?
Yes,
Right.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
I told my son that and he was like, Mom, I'm not in Star Wars. And neither am I, but I still think it's kind of cute and corny. But anyway. So
You
all
know,
right, let's see.
it's just a whole generation of kids. It's just not into Star Wars because my son was like, he's not doing that either, and it's like,
I'm not into it either. I'll be honest with you. I'm not into. It's too much. But that's kind of a cultural thing. I grew up when those were all really big, so of course I know what it is. But I've never really watched one from beginning to end. But we're going to go ahead and start recognizing or welcoming our guests. You know what time it is on this show. We call this Rep Your City, Rep Your Zip Code. I already see New York is in the house. I got to stand up for New York. I love it. My hometown, the boogie down Bronx. And as I've said before, I mean, I have family still in New York, family in Alabama, went to med school in Philadelphia, went to UNC Chapel Hill, lived in Memphis for a little bit. So I need all those folks to let me know where you are watching from. Rep your city, your zip code, your state, your country, wherever you are joining us from. And let us know you're watching. And be sure to go ahead and tag someone because sharing is caring. And we always want this message, this information to get out to as many people as we can. So tap somebody on their shoulder, say, come on in this house of fellowship. And if you're watching us on the replay, be sure to drop hashtag replay. So Agnes, thank you so much for watching from New York. What borough? You got to tell us what borough. Is that Manhattan or is that one of the other boroughs? Let us know.
boogie
So
down,
we've
BA.
that BX, that's right. We've got London. Did I just say country? Did I not just say represent? We have got London. See, they are watching us across the pond. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Sandra, for
Well,
watching.
cheerio, Sandra, cheerio, pip pip.
And we've got Chicago, Queens. Okay, South Ozone Park. I love it. Oh, you know what? Before we get into what we're talking about today, I've got to tell you guys about the week I've had. It was just so Saturday. I went to here in Charlotte, they do a derby. It's not the Kentucky Derby, but there's like a steeplechase version here in Charlotte. And it was my first time going. It was so much fun. It was really like I embraced my inner Southern belle, had on the poofy dress and the big hat, drank some bourbon. I really had a good time. And it was really crazy because there were about maybe 4 or 5 races that they ran and 3 of the jockeys got thrown off. Like we kept seeing these horses come by with no rider. We were like, that's not good. And one of them actually had to be taken off by the medical folks. So but yeah, and then Tuesday, I went and did career day for a bunch of fifth graders. Now, if you
Mhm.
ever need to get your attitude adjusted or have like your reality checked, spend a few minutes with some fifth graders. They will get you all the way together.
Yeah.
But they actually asked some really good questions. Some of them know they want to go into medicine as well. One little girl says she also wants to be family medicine. So it was great. I enjoyed the afternoon. So ladies asking, did I
I'll have
wear
to give you a report on mine because I'm doing one tomorrow.
you're doing
So
a career day?
yeah, yeah,
What grade?
middle school.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so they have an assignment. It's like one of those things where you go in and then it kind of say, all right, you go to this class, you go to this class, you go to this class. So I'm going to middle school, so sixth, seventh, and eighth graders, and then they're going
Yeah.
to just kind of send us where. So
That's important. I think it's
yeah,
important that because what they see, they will be, right? That kind of thing. So all right. Well, we're gonna get into it. The folks are saying, "Did I wear a spectacular hat?" Oh, the hat was bad, honey. It was bad. It was my aunt. I have an aunt who's a first lady of a church, and she wanted the hat. So if that gives you some idea, it was definitely a first lady hat. Sherry from Brooklyn is here. Well, Sherry's here, so we can get started. I mean, it's
yes,
official.
yes.
The show is
Sherry is she is our. Thank you, Sherry. I
yes,
appreciate.
and I
She
happy
remembered that my birthday's on the 12th. It's next Thursday. I'm inside my birthday week.
That's right.
So
Birthday
and
month. We Taurus, we celebrate all month. We
yeah,
we
we
celebrate all
do.
month.
But, I'm getting older. I can't be doing the whole month thing. Look, it's hard enough to do a week.
It's so funny. I told you you have your name is my son's middle name, and his birthday is also the 12th. That is so funny of December, but same number.
Yeah,
So well, all right, let's go ahead and get into it. So we've got a spicy subject for you tonight. We are going to talk about health benefits of spices. So, if you've watched this show once or twice or 10 times, first of all, thank you. But secondly, we like to just give you little bits of information that you can use as you're expanding your repertoire, trying new things, and really kind of trying to get you to understand why we recommend what we recommend. And so we're going to talk about spices. I've talked about before how a big fan I am of different spices, how you can use them to cut back on your salt intake. So we're going
mhm.
to start picking apart some of those now and talk about the health benefits of each one. Sherry says her birthday was May 1st, and she celebrates a whole month. That's the only way I know. I don't even work on my birthday. I mean, forget that. I'm
Okay,
taking.
so I'll tell you what. If I'm on the show next week, I'm gonna pin $5 to my shirt.
So Sherry's got the right idea. I count down. I start counting down from the first, and my birthday is the 20th. So everyone around me is like, "Okay, please just stop." So I understand. So all right, we're gonna do 5 today. It's so many. We're gonna kind of break this up. We'll make this a two-parter. So I'm gonna start with one that, technically it's more of a vegetable, but we definitely lump it with the spices because we tend to use it in its ground form or dried form, and that's garlic. Okay, so garlic is really in the same vegetable family as onion and leeks and shallots, right? So kind of that vibrant flavor that we think of and we know of that's kind of similar to um, all of those vegetables. So but what about garlic? Other than keeping vampires away, right? What are the health benefits of garlics? Well, first of all, and a lot of these, you're going to hear some of this is repetition, but it helps boost the immune system. Okay, so
Mhm.
your immune system, its job is, think about your immune system as your alarm. If you have a fence around your house, right? That fence is there to keep intruders out. Your immune system is there to protect you from viruses and bacteria and fungi and all things that are trying to invade your body. So you want to boost and strengthen your immune system as much as you can, particularly cold and flu season. But there's always something going on, right? So there's always something going around. So garlic, it has been some studies have shown that it decreases the incidence of colds by 63%. It may even decrease how long you have a cold from about 5 days down to 1.5. But definitely more research is needed in that area. For your heart, it's good for garlic is good for your heart. So you lovers out there, you think, oh, garlic breath, but think about your heart, right? Because that's really going to be, it's beneficial. It lowers your cholesterol, your triglycerides, your blood pressure, all of those things that we know increase stroke and heart attack risk. And then they did a big study where a meta-analysis, which is where they take studies, kind of lump them together and look to see what it found. And they showed that people who had the highest garlic consumption actually had a decrease of 41% lower chance of having colon cancer. So you've got heart benefits as well as the GI tract. It's because they saw that they had a decrease in their cancer risk. It also has antibacterial and anti-viral effects. And it's interesting because when you crush or chop it, that actually starts to release those health benefits, so that the process of preparing it is benefit. It helps it to be beneficial. And this is something I read that I thought was very interesting. I don't know that I'll ever do this because I don't know that I will remember, but they say if you wait 5 minutes before you add acid, so like if you're cooking and you're using it with lemon juice, say for example, you want to wait 5 minutes and then wait 10 minutes before you cook with it, which is, kind of interesting, but keep that in mind. But what is the one thing that people don't like about cooking with garlic? If put in the chat, kind of what is the drawback, it doesn't bother me, but some people don't like this one thing that garlic does. So we see garlic on everything. I love it. A couple of people are saying that. Eat a clove of garlic at the onset of cold. That's this study was saying that. And then drinking garlic water. Oh, that's I've not seen that, but hey.
I started cheating, right? So I don't consider this cheating. I consider this help expedite the process, right? Because I was getting like the little jars, or they've already got it chopped or crushed or whatever. But then I started buying the bag where they've got the cloves. They've already kind of taken it out of the
peeled it.
So it's a bag of just peeled garlic cloves, and then I chop it myself to get that release. I can put as much as I want to because I like it a little bit chunky. I just always felt like that jar with all that floating in that stuff just didn't sit right with me. So I started buying that bag, and it does, once you open it, you do have to cook with it, or
exactly.
You have to use it. So chop a lot of it and then put it in a Tupperware, because it'll stay longer. It'll keep longer in the Tupperware than it will in that bag.
And you can actually also freeze it. You can freeze garlic as well. Yep. And actually, when you refer to the jar that you buy in the jar, I used to buy that, and then I just started making my own, where you just mince the garlic. You can put some olive oil in the jar and then seal it, and that can hold in your refrigerator for about a week or so. So if you're using it a lot, then that's good. You can also make it, put in little ice cubes, put it in if you still have ice trays. I know, like, showing my age here, but remember ice trays when we used to make our own ice? If you have some of those, which I keep some in my house because they're good, you can, again, kind of put the garlic in the measure out. Like if you're mincing it, go ahead and measure out a teaspoon or a tablespoon so you know how much it is. And then put that in the ice tray and fill it up with olive oil. And then once it's frozen, you have that.
Right. And you can just drop that in your pan.
You can also just add water as well. And then if you depending on what you're going to be using it is. But the thing that I'm getting at as far as the smell, you tend to have garlic smell on your fingers for a while. And so again, it doesn't bother me, so I don't do anything. But if you want some tips, you can wash your hands with lemon and water. To help decrease that. You can also put some baking soda, rub that, make a paste, basically rub that on your palms, or rub your hands with a stainless steel spoon and then wash your hands. So those are all tips and tricks on how to decrease that smell of garlic, but I love it. I mean, it goes in pretty much any dish.
It goes in practically everything I cook.
Everything but breakfast, and it depends on what I'm making for breakfast because it may go in that too. But pretty much any other dish, I can't get enough garlic. Yeah, some people don't like the odor, and I love how she spelled odor. You can tell she's in London because she
That's
put
London. She put the
that's
U in it.
London. She added an extra that U in there. She buys those roasted garlic oil, baked is good. Yes, and you can do like when you roast your own garlic, you know just you don't even have to peel it. You just wrap it in some foil, you know, drizzle it with the olive oil, roast it on some high heat, and then you can make some delicious garlic butter. Once it's done, that'll to peel will just come right off. You cut it in half and squeeze it out, and you can make your own garlic butter and other things. So lots of things to do with garlic. Next, we're going to talk.
Garlic is good. Garlic is good. We know it. That's it. Garlic is good.
Garlic is all of these are good. All of
Yeah.
these that we're going to talk about is good. So next is going to be ginger, and so ginger is one of those that you have to respect ginger. Ginger, you know, can be I think even when you kind of overdo it, it can have a very strong taste as far as being off-putting. But when you use the right amounts, it's delicious. And again, that it can be used in anything from breakfast to dessert, right? I mean, I just finished off some ginger snaps. Like, oh my God, those things were so good. But ginger has been found to be good for migraine headaches, and just a tiny amount, about an eighth of a teaspoon. They did a study versus Imitrex, which is a well-known migraine medicine, has been around forever, actually performed pretty well up against that, as it did versus for nausea versus Dramamine. Dramamine is a over-the-counter seasickness, motion sickness medicine, and ginger actually beat that out as far as decreasing symptoms. So you can use it for nausea associated with pregnancy or chemo or radiation, you know, motion sickness, things like that, or after surgery. Sometimes people are nauseous after surgery. Then the anesthetic makes them nauseous. So that's good for that as well. So yes, Sean is saying she uses it exactly. And so they've done small trials with it where it's showing that it has a benefit for arthritis and migraine, as I've mentioned. Some people use it for respiratory infections as well. At the beginning of a cold, you can use some ginger to help, because again, it has anti-inflammatory, antiviral, antifungal, all of those effects. So it covers a lot of things. You want to be sure when you're choosing garlic, and I love the way, not garlic, ginger. I love the way ginger looks, ginger and turmeric both. You know, when you buy them,
They're roots.
they look like, but they look like fingers. They look like hands. And so, and that makes it kind of easy because you know, break off a knob and that, you know, you use about an inch of it or so forth. You definitely want to store it. Well, first of all, you want it to be light brown in color. The skin should be nice and smooth. You don't want wrinkly ginger. You don't want wrinkly ginger. You want it to be nice and smooth. And then you would store them like you would your onions in a cool, dark place. But you can also throw it in the freezer. And what I do is I'll wash it, throw it in the freezer, and then I'll get my mincer. I'll get my microplane, and then I just shred it or mince it. And, you know, you can just add that to a stir fry. So it changes the texture. And I find that it's not as overbearing, and you can really just add it very quickly without having to even peel it. I just microplane it or mince it with the skin on and go from there.
Again, I'm gonna give y'all some alternative because she's all the way to the fresh. She breaking off roots, fingers, and all that stuff. There in the produce section, there's like you can get like a little tube and it's ginger and a paste, right? And they've got two types. They've got a very, very thin type, and then they've got kind of a little chunkier. And the same thing with garlic. And so if you want to expedite, this is kind of an alternative. The fresh is better because you've got more options and it keeps a little bit longer. But if you need something quick, you know, and it even tells you on the tube how to measure it properly to meet whatever if it's calling for fresh ginger or something like that, you could use it that way. And it has a similar effect and it makes it a lot easier. So if you don't have that kind of time, don't say, oh, I can't use ginger because I don't have the time. They make it easy for you. So
Oh, and don't forget. I mean, this also we're also talking about ginger powder as well. I mean, you can buy
yes,
dried ginger. All of these come in, dried as well. With fresh, it's just it just is a different taste to it. And because sometimes too with those ones in the bottles, you do have a little bit of a preservative, so
yeah,
you want to just be mindful of that. But no, definitely. This is I may be talking about fresh, but please know I'm also including
oh yeah.
dried as this as well. All right, so let's see what we've
Ginger
got.
goes hard, and just I want y'all to keep in the back of your mind all of these spices that we're saying. What type of foods, what type of kind of family of foods that you're finding this in, and then think about how that population of people that eat these foods primarily are doing in terms of health wise and weight wise and things of that nature. So you're saying like we've got garlic and ginger are in a lot of Asian foods. They use a lot of these spices, and they eat a lot of fish in their culture. So they could be, so there is some kind of correlation between healthiness and the type of foods.
Yeah, I mean, but garlic, I mean, my goodness, what culture doesn't use garlic
Oh
and
yeah,
ginger
everybody
as
knows garlic.
well? I mean, these are all they all and they, you can look and see where they ginger was first and I don't know it's off the top of my head, but like, it may have been indigenous, what's the word? Indigenous
Indigenous. Oh yeah.
to a particular region or a country or a continent. But with travel, international travel, I mean, we all are using
Yeah.
these spices in different ways. But yes, Indian food, Asian food, African food. I mean,
Caribbean and Africa. Yeah, Shauna.
exactly,
Give her a
exactly.
shout out.
She puts the ginger in her curry. Oh my goodness. Yes, Shauna, Caribbean, African use a lot of garlic and ginger. Exactly. So I mean it's no one has exclusive rights to these spices, which makes them so universal. So next we're gonna talk about cinnamon
Ooh,
because cinnamon, who doesn't love, like, oh my goodness, when I think about cinnamon, sweet potato pie, I think about cinnamon, right?
ooh, yes.
So it's again, it's one of those ones that can be used in a variety of ways. It's got definitely some health benefits. It's shown to decrease how fast your stomach empties after a meal, which can help prevent that spike in your blood sugar after a meal. Some small, tiny decrease in your hemoglobin A1C. So if you're diabetic, it may lower your A1C by about 1%. Not a whole lot, but hey, every little bit may help.
Keep
It
taking your meds. That's what she's saying. She's not saying it out loud. Keep taking your meds, but this will help.
Definitely, yes. Because we're gonna circle back to that in just 1 second. It too has antifungal and antibacterial properties, and combined with ginger, it can be useful for upper respiratory infections as well, kind of at the onset when you feel that coming on. But I do want to say a word about all cinnamon is not created equally, and I found this interesting. When I research this stuff, you guys, I learned stuff too. So, um, people think, oh, I can, eat cinnamon and it'll lower my blood sugar. But there's actually there's different types of cinnamon. There's two different types of cinnamon. One is cassia and one is Ceylon, Ceylon. And the studies that they did were actually done with the cassia brand or subtype, which
Mhm.
actually can actually have a compound in it that actually can be harmful to the liver at high doses. And so when they saw that, though, that it was lowering the blood sugar, they just kind of assumed that it also worked for the Ceylon, the other type, but they didn't see that decrease in the sugar when they did the study. So I have a friend, a colleague of mine, and she's a physician, and she tells her patients, we do science here. And so what that means is we are, evidence based. And one of my recommendations to you are evidence based. And so, which means we're doing studies to see, does this really work? Does this work the way we think it does? Is it harmful? Is there a benefit? Versus just, oh, well, that's the way we've always done it. So when they've done the studies comparing the different types of cinnamon, they realized, well, maybe that benefit really wasn't there. And maybe it was actually part of the effect of the one that can be harmful. So all that to say, jury may still be out a little bit on whether it's safe or effective, but, eating it in regular doses, it would be fine. I just don't want people to think, oh, I can just use cinnamon and it'll control my sugar, because that's not what the studies are showing.
Right.
So, you
Is
may
it an
want
anti-inflammatory?
to oatmeal. Yes. Say that
Is
again.
cinnamon is cinnamon an anti-inflammatory? That was a question from Sherry.
Yes, definitely has antifungal, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory properties. And all of these do for the most part because they come from the earth, they have the healthy plant chemicals in them, and so that's what they do. Moving on now to turmeric. And turmeric is one of my
Mm.
it's one of my favorite ones. And it's just, and so again, it too, in its raw natural form, looks like ginger. It's kind of knobby looking. But again, you can buy it ground or dried. It is antioxidant. It has anti-inflammatory effects. They've actually done studies with a dripped turmeric on cancer cells, and it actually has been shown to decrease the risk of developing cancer as well as the spread and progression of growth of cancers. There's been shown to be helpful for joint problems, or osteoarthritis, we call that. And right now they're doing studies in Alzheimer's, depression, cardiovascular disease, and Parkinson's to see if there is a benefit from turmeric. And so turmeric is, that yellow is what gives mustard its yellow color, right? And that component is called or cumin, excuse me. And it was interesting, we know that black pepper and fat, a little bit of fat helps that to be absorbed. So when you're planning your meals, and you want to kind of think about that, a little bit of healthy fat with that will help that to be absorbed even more. And I found this really interesting because about the effect of turmeric and being sedentary. So, a lot of us are working from home now. I myself, I pretty sedentary. I used to run a clinic where I was on my feet 8, 9 hours a day. Now I sit at a desk. Well, we know that, they say sitting is the new smoking, right? Because we know
Mhm.
it can have poor health outcomes, weight gain, other things. But one of the things that they've discovered is that it may affect how well your blood vessels work, the endothelium, which is the lining of your blood vessels, not to get too
Right.
technical. But turmeric, actually taking a little bit of turmeric every day may help to improve how well your blood vessels work. Not to say that you don't need to still exercise, but maybe adding turmeric if you have a sedentary job can actually be beneficial. Two patient groups, though, that I do want to mention who might want to watch their turmeric intake are people who are prone to kidney stones because you want to be sure not to get more than about a teaspoon a day. It can increase your risk for certain types of kidney stones,
Mhm.
but may also, people who have gallstones may also increase the risk for gallstone attacks. Now, it may prevent you from developing gallstones altogether and also may reduce the risk of gallbladder cancer. But if you already have gallstones, turmeric may trigger because it makes your gallbladder kind of contract. And so if you've got gallstones in there, it may cause some pain. Um,
That
so
turmeric is special, and maybe I was watching. I realized what was triggering me about the Asian cuisine. I was watching because I love watching Andrew Zimmer. He goes around those delicious destinations around the world. I watch Cooking Channel a lot, so he just that's my kind of my nerd outlet. And so he was in like Thailand, and it was like everything that they were putting in the pan, and he was going to all these different places, and all of the dishes start with, we start with some garlic and some ginger and some turmeric, and they were like scooping like big things of turmeric, and they were shaking it in that. And I was like, and then he did another show in India, and they're like, yeah, it starts with some turmeric, and I was like, turmeric again.
turmeric, yeah, turmeric is pretty good for you. Yeah. So there's a couple of questions I want to get to. So Megan says she uses coconut oil and black pepper and turmeric. So that's the fat and the pepper that she's talking about for the
Yeah.
absorption. Lynn says she uses a tablespoon. I mean, again, if you are at risk for gallstones or kidney stones, that might be too much. If you're putting a tablespoon in, depending on what you're making and you're eating that over time, you're probably fine. But they're for people who are at risk for those things, they recommend no more than a teaspoon per day. And then lastly, because we're coming up on our time, I just want to mention rosemary. And rosemary, when I think about rosemary, I think about rosemary with Thanksgiving and Christmas because it's part of that poultry seasoning. It just makes me think of my mom's turkey dressing. But it's got rosemary, and you may not think of this, but rosemary has antioxidant effects. It actually decreases when you inhale it, it decreases your cortisol level. Cortisol is the stress hormone.
Mhm.
So you want those levels to be lower. It's thought to help improve your memory. And then this was, I thought was very interesting. Shauna said we're mentioning all her favorites. That's right. I mean, so that means you have a well-stocked spice cabinet. I love it. So when you use it as a marinade or add it to meats that are being grilled, I know this show is veganish, but I do know people,
Mhm.
do grill their meat. You actually decrease these harmful chemicals that can be released when meat is cooked, which are then the cancer causing elements that we say why you want to limit grilling, certain types of meat. So when you cook meat at high heat, these certain chemicals called heterocyclic amines are released. And so rosemary is found to be protective of that if you add that to that. So I thought that was really interesting. Those chemicals, those HCAs for short, are associated with increased risk of breast and colon and prostate, esophagus, stomach cancers. So rosemary can have a protective effect there. So we've talked about a lot tonight. We're gonna do some more.
Auntie Rosemary, she goes hard. Like I keep it fresh in my house, like fresh and dried. I love
Yes.
rosemary. I put it
You
on.
want to be sure when you buy it that it should look green. It should be, it should snap. It shouldn't be like wimpy or that's not fresh rosemary.
No.
But also too, if you buy it, you can also I use it fresh and dried, and I'll sometimes put it in a spice grinder if I want to kind of liven it up a little bit. The other thing I want to mention too that I'm learning in culinary school, all of these spices in the dried form, if you want or seeds, it's if you have like the whole seeds of some of these, blooming. There's a cooking technique called blooming where you add a little bit of oil to a skillet on high heat, medium to high heat, and you basically cook the spices and it gives such a level of flavor. So if you think it's already good
Mm-hmm.
and then you cook it a little bit, just, for a few minutes, it really brings it out. The other thing too, with your dried spices, you really want to make sure you don't have them on your shelf too long. Probably about a year or so. I'll be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Mine are a lot older than that,
Mm-hmm.
but I use my nose. If I
You know,
open it,
black people,
you'll
Tom.
smell
We,
it.
we keep that
I
spice.
mean, it's because I buy the big ones. So if I open it and it still smells like the spice, then I'll keep it. If there's no fragrance to it, if it's not there's no aroma, then it's
Yeah.
probably past its prime. But yeah, so say we see drink rosemary tea for cramps. Oh, okay. I hadn't heard of that. That's a good but that makes sense again with its
If you're
anti-inflammatory
still
properties.
eating meat, because I just did this recently, so I got some strip steak because it's a little bit leaner than ribeyes because ribeyes have more fat. So you get a small piece of New York strip, and then instead of just salt and pepper like they always do on those shows, I do a little bit of salt. I do some fresh cracked pepper, cinnamon, sprinkle some cinnamon on there, and then I take roast garlic, low cayenne, because we could talk about probably going to talk about cayenne on part two. So just some cayenne, and then take fresh sprig of rosemary, put that right on the top, and then vacuum seal it. It helps you get your meat seasoned faster, so you don't have to wait for so long for it to get seasoned all the way through. Vacuum seal it, and then you can go ahead and light your grill, start a grill, or if you're going to marinate or whatever, and get that nice rosemary. Then you take the rosemary, put it in the pan with a little red wine and some garlic, and you simmer that down, and now you have a nice glaze to put on top of your steak. It's delicious.
So I'm gonna let him have that because he has. But what he did say that I like is what I mentioned just a few minutes ago about the protective effect of rosemary if you are cooking your meat at high temperatures. So there's that to get the flavor, but it's also found to be protective as well.
Yep.
So that's our time. I told
We
you.
got time. We got a question to ask about time. I love time too.
Oh, rosemary. You can't talk about rosemary. So that's the cliffhanger, right? I ended with rosemary because I got to have you come back to you and get thyme and some other ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
rosemary and thyme are definitely a match made in culinary heaven. And so we will definitely be talking about that and some others. There's going to be a little bit of a cliffhanger because I won't be with you next week, but we will pick it up after that. And, leave on our page if you've got some that you definitely want to hear about, let me know. But I think you'll, and all this talking about spices is making me hungry. I got to go scrounge
For
up some.
real. And I'm about to go get some steak with a knife. So I'm about to go eat some tomatoes and some onions and some cilantro and a little lemon
Oh,
juice.
you're making a little pico de gallo.
Yeah,
There you go. That's a good idea. I think I've had all that. I need to do that. That's a great idea. So until next time, I am Dr. Monique, your board certified family physician who you know as the physician in the kitchen. Please be sure to follow me on all social media at physician in the kitchen. And if you guys are making these dishes or just feature, please tag me. I would love to see what you guys are doing in your kitchen. I post stuff on there about what I share my homework from culinary school. Just last week. Oh, I have to tell you guys this before we go. Last week I made kimchi,
Mm,
which I had never had before. So you talk about being a nerd. So kimchi is a fermented, for those who don't know, it's basically like a Korean cabbage. It's fermented.
right.
And we use, you put Napa cabbage and carrots and also daikon radish with some Korean chili flakes and some garlic, of course. And it ferments. And then you put vinegar with the mother in it, apple cider vinegar. And so I let it sit for about 3 days. I opened it and it was like bloop, 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 like the bubbles. It was so cool. I was like, it's alive. And so the longer you let the kimchi sit, like the funkier it gets. So mine is about a week old now, but it's good. It's got the right amount of heat and so forth. But the thing about fermented foods is it's really good for gut health as well.
Hmm.
So that's why I'm super excited that I now have that in my repertoire. You can use it as a relish or a topping or what have you, side dish. So, but anyway, I talk about that kind of stuff
I had
on my
somebody put some in some greens one time. They mix. I went to one of the restaurants. They thought they were being elevated in soul food, and they put some kimchi and some greens. I was like, please, don't do that.
It didn't work because
Mm-mm,
this sounds like they
mm-mm,
were trying to do a
mm-mm,
fusion. They were trying to do like an
mm-mm,
Asian soul
mm-mm.
food fusion. It didn't
Don't
work.
do it.
Oh,
I'm just saying. I'm digging kimchi. I'm cool with kimchi, but don't mess
but
up my greens with some kimchi. I'm
got
sorry.
you.
That's just
They
me.
yeah, that is ambitious. So well, they tried it.
With you with the chow chow, Lynn. I'm with you on the chow chow.
I
All
haven't had chow chow, sauerkraut, another fermented. Yep.
mm-hmm.
So, all right, everybody. Until for 2 weeks, we'll see you next time. Thank
Take
you. Bye
care.
bye.